Greetings, mortals. My name is Corel Scheffel Gunathorpius Chop, but today you may know me as the Documentarian. And welcome to our new series that is not going to be made its own official series. I'm just sort of calling it a different series, but you know how it is. And we're calling this Ruinarch. Definitely not related to any other amusement parks with extremely outlandish ideas that are going to backfire on the person who came up with the idea multiple times. Anyway, so as you can tell, we are back in Ruinarch, and soon they're going to be rolling out the final major update for the game, which will overhaul how the monsters work. But in the meantime, I figured that we should try and do something else. So we're going to be entering this lovely new world. Let's just do a quick overview of the world, as is per the usual. Also, I did see your message, Eden. Hello, Eden. So we have some ghosts and ruins over here. Got some broken down house here. Go across. We got one giant spider in here, in this mage tower. Odd. We got some bears up here, near what may be their lair. Hard to tell. And then we have one village, which appears to be humans. Not entirely sure, though. And apparently they have a graveyard already underway that has an incubus infestation. We also have some minks here next to this cave. Going down this way, we have a kobold lair. We have some moonwalkers. I'm not familiar with those. We'll have to investigate and see what those are. And then a pack of wolves, and then some kobolds in another mage tower. We have another mage tower with some wolves just outside of it. Another kobold lair. We got some chickens next to an abandoned house. Another small kobold lair that's next to this village that also appears to be human. I suspect that one of those is not in fact human, as I will explain shortly. Some ghosts in a cave. And then here we appear to have an elven village right in the corner of the map. Cave, a worm nest, some rabbits, and we have a wolf pack here. So, what we're going to do to start, we're going to place our portal right over here, away from everyone, and we're going to be playing as the Puppet Master, because, you see, today, what we are going to be doing, wants me to do all the tutorials. Let's see. Alright. So, what we're going to be doing today is we're not going to be playing Ruinarch per se. No. What we're going to be doing is we're going to be observing. Yes, we're going to be observing nature in its natural habitat. Or artificial habitat, as the case may be, because we're going to be looking at our friends, not these guys, Saren, wherever these people are. Is it these people? Yes, it's these people. Yes, so we're going to be focusing on observing the humans. And hopefully, our observations will yield fantastical results. We're going to, of course, produce our Watcher. Because that will, we're going to build everything, of course, but we're going to focus on especially the things that will help us in our observations. So, hold on, I need to go back for a moment, because silly me, I forgot. We need to go over to this. We're going to spawn some eyes over in the human village. Right here. We'll drop one here. We'll drop one here. And we'll put one right over here. That will give us some decent sight as we observe the humans in their natural habitat. I'm just going to quickly get rid of all these tutorials. And now we may begin. Ahem. And here we can see that we have the young Posy, who appears to be a miner. As we reveal her info, we can see that her talents actually show a leaning towards combat magic. Which makes it somewhat unusual that she has chosen to be a miner, given that the options of druids and shamans were available as her class. but I suppose that she just simply prefers the simple life. As we can see, Posey is on her way to deposit stone here in the mine. And of course, if someone requires stone for any construction projects, they will come to the mine, take the stone that the miners have taken. As we can see over here, Ruinarch is actually taking some of the stone over to the workshop, presumably to use in the creation of new weapons for the town. Now, as we return our interest back to Posey, I'm also going to just make a note to store her as a target so that we can revisit her at any time. She also has a minor interest in crafting, which means that if she chose, she could also craft weapons and armors at the nearby workshop. But no, she has decided to just focus on resources and is mining for stone at the mine. We're going to get rid of some more tutorials as they appear. Excellent. Now, if we look at Posey's status, we'll notice that she's currently sprightly. She's brimming with stamina, which allows her to run in the case that she feels the need to chase after someone or run away from someone, depending on the situation. She is also bored and is lacking entertainment. Hopefully she'll be able to find some way to sate her need for entertainment. Her traits are blessed. As you can see, she is protected by the divine, which means that demonic beings such as the Ruinarch are not able to interact with her directly. She is also a music hater, which means that she has an irrational hate for music. Because honestly, even demons like music. If you don't like music, there is something wrong with you. Now, we will also take notice that her faction is called theiir. She works in mine 73, which is this mine right here. I'm going to grab that. And let's see, going back to Rosie. We also notice that her village is called Kalea. She lives in dwelling 28 and is not a part of a party because she is not an adventurer of any sort. She is a miner. It is a very simple job with very simple needs and simple workings. We'll also note that Posey is currently hungry as well, so hopefully she will be able to go to the communal food for the town, wherever that may be, and acquire some food for herself. Now we notice that we have the farm over here, so perhaps she'll go here to the potato farm. There's also a fish pile in Michael's house, so there is a good chance that we have a fisher working nearby. Let's see if we can find a... aha, here. Of course, we have a fishing spot right here. A fishery, where we have food baskets containing, presumably, food. It's actually empty and is just extremely dirty. It does require cleaning. Meanwhile, Posey is falling asleep. Let's try and move on to someone else that may provide more interesting insights. Why are there elves here? What are you people doing here? I'm trying to do a human documentary. Excuse you. Oh yes, I forgot. I completely forgot. I forgot to introduce... Yes, we're focusing on the humans, also known as the Homo sapiens, which, in the language of some ancient race, I don't really care who, means same brain. Fascinating. Now, we're going to move on to look at Hannah, but it appears that she's going home to sleep. And it appears that all of the humans are currently asleep, so we're going to try and just speed up time. I don't know why Hannah's moving all the way over here to sleep. I guess she's actually not part of theiir. She's part of Justrena, which is a completely different faction. Apparently also, if we return time to normal, Rasputin apparently insulted Alvina, so we're going to look at Rasputin for a while. Now, Rasputin over here is a farmer, which means that, obviously, Rasputin works at the farm to create goods for everyone else. As is indicated by one of his statuses, he is entertained, he is sprightly, he is refreshed, and he is potato-fed. And, as we all know, eating a potato increases your intelligence by 50% on a temporary basis. Of course, it doesn't last forever. Has 50 coins, so not a lot of money on his person, but he's also very busy walking, making a journey across the map to go visit Farah. Now, who is this Farah that Rasputin is so dead set on interacting with? Or is perhaps Farah a place? That is also entirely possible. It appears that his journey is almost at its end. It appears that Farah is in fact the name of this town. That is correct. It is in fact the name of this town. I don't know why Rasputin, who is a part of a completely different group, has moved to this town. Perhaps he's a part of a party. Not. That is very odd then that he's decided to visit the elves. In the distance you can hear very vaguely the sounds of combat, but that is of no worry to Rasputin. He is just enjoying his trip to the elven town. Interacting with the people here, except not really. He's just roaming around, not interacting with anyone in any particular way. And now, having finished his observations of this town, he is going to return to his town of Kalaya and harvest the crops that he has painstakingly nurtured over the season to feed the people of his town. And now he makes the journey back, which, I'm gonna be honest with you, it didn't seem all that worth it. It took quite a long time to get here, and then it's gonna take a long time to get back, and all he did was drink from the well and walk around a bit. Seems kinda odd if you ask me, but we're not here to judge, we're just here to observe nature. And by nature I mean the nature of these weird human people. Now let's go see about Posey. Posey, of course, is... Posey is apparently dealing with her food situation as she is currently starving. Along the way, she decided to insult Taylor, which seems rather rude. But now Posey is consuming food. Looks like she's having some nice delicious fish. And now, of course, we can see that she no longer has the starving status. And is now, in fact, full. We'll also notice that she is potato fed, so her intelligence is also increased. She also appears to have a healing potion on her person, which may be useful in the unlikely but possible, not really, it's not actually impossible in this game unless I cause it, event of a rock slide. She also appears to have 75 coin on her person, which seems to imply that she actually, in fact, does make more money than the farmer. But I'm not going to judge anyone for their net worth, especially since everyone here has really low net worth, except for the adventurers, who, of course, are highly skilled and are therefore better than everyone else. And then you'll also notice over here, we have something going on here. Carlisle is coming to knock out Keaton, but was apparently caught in the act, and now is being attacked on these suppositions of being a vampire, and was killed for it. So, as we can see, in this town, the humans are more than capable of protecting themselves. Now, Keaton is now, I believe, considered a criminal. Yes, because they're wanted for disturbance, and are now being captured by Nestor for it, because you see they destroyed someone's bed to take out their anger on after being attacked viciously by a vampire that is now dead. As we can see, very important, humans are in fact able of protecting themselves from these creatures of the night, as they are known. And now Keaton, the archer, one of the more combat-focused classes, despite the fact that his martial arts is 1 and has healing magic at 2 and resources at 3, you would have figured that he would have been like a miner or something, and Posey would be... Well, it doesn't really matter, of course, because Keaton is in prison for taking out his anger on someone else's property, which, as we all know, is a very serious crime. Now, if we look at Keaton for just a moment, we'll see that, of course, in the top left of this informational box, he is currently quite a bit low on health because of the attempts to apprehend him. He also only has 20 coins, I presume because he has recently bought this basic bow, which increases the piercing power of his attacks and has boosted his strength by 5. He's currently very angry because he was attacked by a vampire. He is sprightly. He is a known criminal for the disturbance that we have mentioned earlier. He is hungry and bored, which makes sense. He is currently stuck in jail. He's also restrained and a prisoner, which I feel is rather obvious at this point, and is refreshed, brimming with energy, but has no means of letting out that energy due to being, restrained and a prisoner. Then, traits. A Thundermaster, obsessed with electricity. If he were a mage, he would be a lightning mage. He is also currently ashamed, embarrassed about something. I don't know why, perhaps because Nestor's healing him after beating him up and sending him here. He's also sulking because he's not had fun in quite a long time. His other traits, as we go back to that, he is inspiring. He randomly blurts out inspirational quotes, and somehow others feel inspired by it. Truly fascinating. Apparently within this village there are people whose traits make them well suited to increasing the efficiency of others. I'm going to pause because I just noticed something and I want to go through Keaton's traits before that. Now, the final trait, and this is a very important one, Keaton is vigilant, which means that stealthy actions performed on them will be caught without fail. And that is why Carlisle the vampire was not able to properly assault Keaton. Well, that and also he's a combat class, so he fought instead of trying to run away, but And now we will move over to Ulmer, who is the faction and settlement, the faction leader of Saren and the settlement ruler of Kalaya. Now we're going to reveal Ulmer's info. He also appears to be an archer, is entertained, sprightly, potato-fed, but uncomfortable, due to visiting a dirty place. He is also a Thundermaster, though also obsessed with electricity. He is blessed, so the Ruinarch cannot interfere with him, and is a lycanthropic, is obsessed with the lycanthropes, and by which we mean the werewolves, not any sort of fungal-based species. We're going to quickly look at talents. 3 in healing magic and 2 in food really makes you wonder why he decided to become an archer instead of, like, say, some sort of healer. Because then he'd be able to cast expert healing combat, which feels like it would be really useful in a group. But whatever. Now Elmer's going to decide the fate of Keaton. We're going to look at this while we have this. And we'll see that Ulmer has whipped Keaton for his crimes. A fact that Keaton is now resentful at Ulmer for. But with this, Keaton is now cleared of his crime and is able to go on to daydream and enjoy the rest of his day. And we're going to go back to Rasputin, who is currently, as we can see, in the midst of harvesting the crops, with the help of Alvina. Alvina, of course, is also a farmer who is fast, so she moves much more quickly than people normally do. She's persuasive, which means that she is a convincing conversationalist and can make fake news seem real, which means that it is very dangerous if she believes in certain conspiracies that we're not going to name. She's also a hemophobic, so she's deathly afraid of vampires, which means that she would probably be in an absurdly bad mood if she had been the one attacked by Carlisle. I also hear combat somewhere, but I can't quite tell where that is. So we're going to just ignore that and move on. As we can see, most of the crops have been harvested, but it will take a bit more time before they are finished. And then once they're done, they will put the potatoes over here, where we can currently see there is currently 120 potatoes. We also have 2 humans patrolling around. They appear to be rogues. Nope, marauders, my apologies. And it appears, oh, one of the crops has been fully harvested. And now they're working on another one. As Taylor comes by to purchase some potatoes for 10 coins. And there are now only 80 potatoes in this pile. Well, now there's 100 because they just harvested some more. And now Rasputin is tilling the farm soil to prepare the next crop on this plot. If we move to look at Posey, you can see that she is continuing to mine stones. Is now collecting the the fruit of her labors. My apologies for getting that wrong. To the mine, so that if others need the stone, they will be able to acquire it from this. It is starting to get late, so perhaps soon she may decide to end her mining quarry. Ho 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 ho! See what I did there? Very amusing. Thank you, me. Notably, there are also ores. Ores in this mine, but they appear to not be of any particular interest to the miners at this point. They seem entirely fixated upon collecting stone, of which they have now collected 292, not including stone that has been moved over into the workshop, which is apparently 20 stone exactly. Now Posey is praying. Unfortunately, she's not praying to any god that I'm aware of, so I feel like she's doing it wrong. But, you know what? I really shouldn't be one to judge others for who they worship, even if they're wrong. And now you can see that the bed that was previously destroyed has been replaced, and for some reason has been put right next to the entryway to the house. Which seems like an odd position to put a bed. I would not personally put my bed by the front door, but you know what? I don't actually sleep because I'm a god, so what do I know? As we can see, everyone is now resting. So we're going to fast forward time once again until we can reach the morning of day 4. Now, for some reason, Alvena, who was that farmer, has apparently joined a different faction, the Justrina faction. And I don't know if you were aware of this, but Justrina is a vampire clan. So, I'm just going to reveal that. That's probably why you can see the Hyde here is about to knock her out. Because he's a vampire. And is now drinking Alvena's blood. That is correct. Gods do not require sleep. Sometimes we enter states that are effectively sleep. But that's more because we feel like it and we want to just sort of skip ahead in time, and not because of any actual desire to, or rather, not because of any, physiological or otherwise bodily needs, as it were. Now we're going to go back to Rasputin, who is currently sitting out in his house and is just idly sitting by. He does have a guitar, but I don't know if he plays it. There's not really any... I don't think there's a particular trait for people who play music in this game. Also, for some reason, no one's dealt with the fact that there's just a dead vampire outside someone's house. I'm actually very surprised that no one has come to bury the body, because that seems rather unsanitary, and honestly, a little gross to just sort of leave that out. You know, put away your toys when you're done with them, folks. Come on. And now Rasputin is going to harvest the crops, which unfortunately now is a job that is left solely to him, saying that Alvena has chosen to leave the human faction and join the vampire clan, despite the fact that she is not a vampire. At least she wasn't last time I checked. Maybe she's turned into a vampire since we last saw her. I don't know. And here we have Keaton going to his home, having survived various ordeals in the past couple days. But none of that is of interest to Rasputin. Rasputin's only interest is in tilling the soil, raising the crops, harvesting the potatoes, so that the people of his faction and town have plenty of food to sustain themselves upon. Rasputin is the true hero of this story. Others may fight off vampires and slay monsters, but in the end, it is Rasputin and his hard daily work that provides for the village and makes sure that the town can continue to function. And for that, I believe that everyone should thank Rasputin. That was the pause so that people could thank Rasputin for his hard work, by the way. I don't know if you're aware of that, but if you weren't, it's too bad. The moment has passed. Going back to Posey. Now, Posey is entering the mines, is mining stones next to her good friend, Gerald. Now, Jared here is currently stocked up, well-prepared food-wise. He is hungry, though, so these two seem in slight conflict with each other. He is bored and sprightly, but, trait-wise, he is a very vigilant person, so he will also catch stealthy actions performed on them. He doesn't have to worry about a vampire surprising him in the night because he will catch them in the act. He is also robust, which means that he is immune to all sorts of illnesses. A very, very useful trait, and a nightmare for anyone who picks the necromancy plague-themed archetype for the Ruinarch. And he is unattractive, which means that he has a purely 100% unexplainable difficulty in making others fall in love with him specifically. He actually did a really good job with setting up his best friend. It was a very nice wedding, but as far as himself, he is still woefully single. I lied. He has a wife named Francesca. Never mind. Apparently, he was able to resolve that situation. Alright. Speaking of, who is Francesca? Ah, Francesca is a druid. Interesting. So Francesca just helped this group with clearing out kobolds in this cave, which she did using the fact that she only has a level 1 in combat magic. Why is she a druid? She has a 2 in healing magic. She would be better as a healer. Well, I guess if she's a magic user, healing magic still works because she can still use basic heal in combat. But also she has a level 3 in crafting. She has a small chance of producing high quality products. Why is she a druid? She should be like a armor smith or something and like be making really nice stuff for people. Well, I guess she's making 289 coins, so I guess she's doing well for herself. And no wonder, because she's also a wind master, so she has a love of all things related to wind, and presumably focuses on wind magic in combat. And she can even snuff out tornadoes, which is a truly impressive feat. She is also blessed, so she cannot be affected by the Ruinarch. Authoritative. Has a very loud voice, is what authoritative means. I don't know if you're aware of that. There seems to be some sort of altercation going on. I believe Michael is actually attacking Herdarian in an attempt to take his meat because, you see, there is a... I don't know if this is intentional or not, but sometimes when people enter a location which they're able to enter via diagonally, as you can see by these 2 block walls here being in such a position, people sometimes have a difficulty trying to leave. The AI keeps them stuck in here, and so now as we can see, Michael is malnourished and starving and is thus assaulting Herdarian, which unfortunately went very badly for him. Now he is dead, but this does not solve the problem that these adventurers are currently facing. which is the fact that they are all slowly starving to death. Now, if no one comes and is able to open up the way in the cave so that they can leave, or unless any of them become smart enough to realize that they can just enter, or rather exit the way they came in, they may eventually resort to cannibalism and may start eating each other, as Michael was attempting to do to Hardarian before Hardarian killed him. Darina just prayed to one of her gods in the hopes that salvation will come, but I'm going to let you all in on a secret. Salvation is not coming. Unfortunately, because this is likely due to a bug, there's not going to be a situation where, like, people are going to say, hey, these people are stuck in a cave. We should send out a rescue party to save them. No, that's not how it works. They're just sort of stuck here. But you know what? It's fine. You know why? Because the town is going to have new migrants to replace these people who are going to die of starvation. And killing each other. Speaking of which, new people have arrived. Let's go look at Ash. Ash is an archer. He is a Thunder Master, but is also persuasive and diplomatic. A typical peace-loving do-gooder. Bleh. But he can mend relationships, which means that he can help maintain the cohesiveness of the party. And the town. He is the glue that holds everyone together. Basically. As you can see in the log, Ash just reduced the conflict between theiir and Ruinarch. I thought I heard someone get punched, but I can't. Oh, I see. Something happened over here, but no humans were involved, so we don't care. Now, if we go back over to... Let's see, where was that cave? Ah, yes, here's the cave. As you can see, people are trying to chat. They're trying to keep up morale in the face of their imminent demises. And in the meantime, their suffering is giving me a decent amount of chaotic energy. At this point, if I were actually interested in playing the game, I would be able to upgrade the portal multiple times. But I'm not going to because I don't care. However, what I am going to do is I'm going to go to the Watcher. I'm going to increase the radius of the eyes a couple times. And with that, if we come back over here, we can see that the eyes have a significantly larger area that they can view. And for this reason, I'm going to actually remove the eyes so that we can replace them, literally. So we will go back here, and we will spawn new eyes on this town. We're going to spawn one here, no, here, and then also here. And then finally, we're going to spawn one right here. And that gives us a decent breadth of the town. Now over here you can see that Darina is currently butchering Michael's corpse to eat it. And Barak, terrified of Darina for what she has been doing, is now running away and has managed to escape the cave, which is good news for her. She's now going to share this information with Alvina, as Darina, who is actually from Jastrina and is here for some reason, appears to be consuming flesh. We also have a Larthian in this cave, so it appears to me that the others... Oh, it appears that the others did in fact manage to escape. So now Francesca, our druid, who apparently murdered someone at some point, wasn't paying attention to that. And whose only witness to this fact is Darina. She is now eating. Good for her. She's now going to slowly make her way back to the town. where she'll be able to finally get the rest that she needs. Unless she decides to just sort of collapse where she is, which is entirely possible. But no, she's going to try and get back to her house to sleep. And hopefully forget that horrifying experience where she had to watch people eat other people. And I don't know about you, but I don't particularly enjoy the thought of consuming other gods. Regardless of the fact that gods, strictly speaking, aren't a species, and thereby eating another god is only theoretically cannibalism. Like, technically, you would need to be the same species of creature as a god for that to count. But then I don't really know, like, what you would call, like, if a human ate an elf. Is that still cannibalism? Like, what level of, like, closeness in species do you need to be at for that to apply? Anyway, if we look at Rasputin here, he bought a basic shirt at the workshop in exchange for 20 coins. Which, if we look at his inventory, he now has a basic dagger, which gives him 10 piercing and 3 strength. Alright, tune in. This just in, folks. Eden has said that it's still cannibalism, and as we all know, Eden is always right, so clearly it is still cannibalism. And then the basic shirt increases hit points by 135. Which I suppose is this game's way of sort of handling the fact that it would theoretically increase your defense by giving you more health that for an enemy to go through before you are eventually slain. As everyone goes to sleep, we will now move on to the next day. As I open a Pepsi and drink it. Over here you see that Francesca is going to report Michael's crime to Ulmer, which honestly was kind of pointless because Michael is dead and butchered. Quite literally. But, such is life, I suppose. Garrett here has apparently left Saren, but we don't really care about him. We also have some animal meat here. And of course, Eden is extremely funny and humorous, because as we all know, references are the highest form of humor. And now Barrick has informed everyone that Darina ate someone. Yeah. So now if we go over to Darina, who's still stuck in that cave, by the way. She is now a wanted criminal in Saren. Which is probably related to the fact that she has the cannibal trait. Which means that she is not a particularly picky eater when it comes down to it. And Posey apparently was out doing something. She stopped someone from singing and attempted to sleep at some point, but was unable to. I don't know why. But now she is currently eating. And after that is most likely going to... she's just sort of relaxing. And let's see. So, Ulmer, who is, as we know, the leader of the town and the faction, is apparently also Posey's husband. So we're going to mark him just so we can come back to him later. And we're going to take a look at Greta. Because Greta has this little poison symbol above her head, which means that she's going to try and poison someone's food. Now, if we look, she's sulking, tired, uncomfortable, so she's not in a good mood, but she is sprightly. She is an Earth Master. She's suspicious, so she thinks that danger is lurking in every corner and might destroy things that the player, that is me, has touched, because she's very suspicious of what that can mean. She's also very lustful in lycanthropic, so if there were any werewolves on the map, they would have to watch out because she would be hunting them and not in the usual way. In the meantime, we're going to watch as Greta goes over to Keaton's house, tries to poison the food on his table. Which apparently she gave up on because she did not poison it. Maybe because she noticed that Keaton is right here. But now Greta has moved on, daydreaming, possibly daydreaming of what would have happened if she had successfully poisoned that table, or rather the food that was on the table. And now she has fallen asleep because she is actually homeless. She does not have an abode of her own, so she has fallen asleep on the at the front door of someone else's house. Meanwhile, Barrack over here, a stalker, is currently going to the town center. Possibly because there is some sort of quest in the workings. Or perhaps he simply enjoys wandering by the well. In the meantime, we'll reveal his info. We'll note that he's a poison expert. He is a know-it-all when it comes to poison and can extinguish poison clouds. If he had been the one who wanted to poison someone's food, you can bet that he would have done it properly. He is also a diplomat, so he can mend relationships, and an optimist. He is always looking at the better side of things, on the bright side, and loses entertainment more slowly than others. He also has 382 gold, which is a significant amount, and owns a healing potion, but oddly enough, no weapon. I understand that his model shows him carrying a crossbow, but that isn't actually there. He is also fish-fed, which doubles all secondary resistances. I don't actually know what that qualifies as, but whatever. Got some other stuff going on, but we don't care about that. Actually, we do, because theiir is actually one of the humans. Heck. Since he believed theiir committed trespassing, has declared him a wanted criminal. I guess the theiir, on the way back to his house, passed through the house of someone in another town, and was thereby considered a trespasser. Which means that if theiir shows up in that town, he will certainly regret having walked through someone's house without their permission. Perhaps he could have taken a hint from the vampires and asked for permission before entering the house. And Barrack continues his patrol. Nothing particularly of a note seems to be happening, except Cuthbert, one of the vampires, is apparently going to try and drink Gerard's blood. And has successfully done so in Gerard's sleep, and is now presumably going back to his town to patrol it. It is an interesting microcosm to see that the humans are in fact not at the top of the food chain. You know, unless they become cannibals, in which case I guess technically they are at the top of the food chain regardless, but as you can see, the vampires actually use the humans as a food source. And probably the elves as well, I'm guessing. Also, at some point we switched over to Ash. I don't remember doing that. I was pretty sure we were watching Barrack the last time I was paying attention. I don't know why we're watching Ash now, but we're going to move over and watch Ulmer, who is currently drinking out of the well, and is now just sort of socializing with people. He's roaming around. Don't know why he's not actually doing anything, but I suppose that when you're in charge, you can afford to just sort of meander around and idle while others do the actual hard work that helps the town most, like Rasputin, our champion and savior. I would even go so far to say that Rasputin's work is deserving of some sort of cheer of some sort. Perhaps something simple, like a simple like one syllable phrase that's repeated multiple times. What would be something suitable? Maybe something like yeah, something simple. Maybe like a syllable repeated twice, and then perhaps followed up by his name, so that we can identify who we are celebrating. Yeah, something like Rasputin. Yeah, and we do that a couple times. And then talk about some traits relative to Rasputin's character. So it'd be like something like Rasputin, he is really, really robust. There's no way that any disease will affect him. Yeah. Rasputin, his farming brings potatoes for all. He is the supplier of food for the entire town. Yeah, something like that, I feel, would be a suitable way to commend Rasputin for his hard work. Now we're going to move over to Garlantha. Nope, we're not going to move over to Garlantha. She's an elf in the town for some reason. Get out of here. We have Mildred the Miner. Let's go look at Patsy the Shaman. What the heck is going on? I hear fighting, but I can't tell where it is, so I guess it doesn't actually matter. Anyway, so Patsy. Patsy is inspiring. She also blurts out those inspirational quotes that everyone finds so inspiring. She's also fire resistant, so fire doesn't damage her as much as it normally would, which I feel is kind of obvious for how fire resistance works. And then she's a hothead. Maybe that's related to why she's fire resistant. Ha 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 ha! And this means that she's quick to anger and may flare up when seeing an enemy. She also has a basic staff which gives her 12 piercing damage and plus 25 intelligence. She's entertained, sprightly, potato-fed, refreshed, and is currently in the resting state. She's sleeping and may or may not be snoring. We don't know. She also has 332 coins, which is a decent amount. And we can see that her fire resistance is 85%. So, a raging, like, wildfire would basically just give her some slight burning. And she's currently just sort of idly sitting in her house, not really doing anything in particular, just waiting for the next time that she's called upon to perform her shamanistic activities. Now, notably, she does have 3 in combat magic, so her being a shaman actually makes sense. And is compounded by the fact that being combat magic 3 means that her intelligence is increased by 15%, and her crits are increased by 5%. Well, her crit chance, I assume. She also has a 2 in food, but you can't really double dip in classes, so it makes sense that she decided to go with shaman. Now, she's currently wandering through the night, going to Nestrel, which I presume is one of the other towns. For what purpose, I cannot say, but perhaps we will find out. Maybe it's related for the reason why Illidan is going to Nestrel as well, as he is also a shaman who is inspiring, just like she is, but is also a music hater. So Illidan is one of those horrible people who doesn't like music for some reason. It appears that Illidan is actually on his way now to the tavern. I don't know if this town has a tavern or if he's going back. Oh, no. There is, in fact, a tavern here. It's apparently that very sort of rough and rowdy tavern where bar fights are not uncommon, as are assassinations, as there appears to be a dead elf in the tavern. Sounds like someone had a really fun time at Finonden's expense, I'm guessing. And here we can see that Illidan, after a rough journey of having to walk for about 3 minutes, is having a drink and is now going to rest in the local tavern, which will cost him 33 coins, but he still has 216, so I don't think he's particularly worried about that. especially since he's already bought for himself a basic axe that increases piercing by 30 and strength by 10, and a basic shirt. And so he is going to have a delightful rest as Patsy and Ruinarch attempt to access a bed through the wall instead of going inside the room through the door like a normal person would. Anyway, Illidan is now going to be returning to his home, as are Patsy and Ruinarch, it appears, as the night has ended and they have decided that it's time to make the journey back. We'll also notice that I feel like Illidan is moving somewhat slower than usual, which is mainly because he is inebriated. Which also means that if he sees one of his enemies, which I don't know if he has any, he is not, for the record, he would be more likely to try and assault them with his axe and his level 3 in combat magic. Which, based on his resistances, I'm going to guess that he's an ice mage, or like he uses ice magic, but it's hard to say. Now we'll go back to Posey, who has taken some potatoes and put them in her home, and is now cleaning off a torch in her house, and is now just sitting down and relaxing. There is a decent chance that the need for stone has decreased because there's not much construction going on lately. So now she is just spending her hard-earned gold to acquire food for herself and Ulmer, who, of course, as we all know, is a layabout who doesn't actually do any work and leaves his wife to make the money, get the bread, or in this case potatoes as it were, while he sits on his high throne as the leader. What the heck? We appear to have lightning strikes. Now, Nestor over here may be the one responsible. It's hard to be sure. It appears that Nestor is causing lightning to come down from the sky. Perhaps due to him being spooked. He also appears to be a criminal who's wanted at Justrina for assault. Don't know when that happened. We also have Diana, who has noticed the lightning and is fleeing in terror, which makes sense, as is Alvina and Posey. And Mildred over here, though, Mildred is not in fact scared of the lightning. She is going to charge straight in so that she can repair a bed that was damaged. Mildred, as we all know, is a true hero of the Republic. And now the others who were previously scared are also coming in to help with repairs. But along the way, Posey saw that Nestor was trying to lighten the mood with a guitar, and has told him in no uncertain terms that music is for wimps and that he should stop. And so Nestor did, because Nestor is highly susceptible to peer pressure. Now we're going to switch over to Nana, who is one of the fishers. As we can see, she has food level 2, which means that she can fish, which is currently what she is doing. She is in fact a music lover, so she has an obsessive love for music that puts her directly at odds with Posey. She's also robust and is thereby immune to illnesses, and is a homophobic, so she is deathly afraid of vampires. It has been said that those who are homophobic will, on occasion, just literally drop dead from seeing a vampire, though these rumors are completely unsubstantiated. Now, as we can see, fishing overall is a much faster means of obtaining food than the potato farm. But of course, the advantages of the potato farm is that, one, as we all know, potatoes, when eaten, increase your intelligence temporarily, and two, Because there are multiple plots, it is possible to gain a large amount of potatoes within a short amount of time, as opposed to fishing, which is a more consistent form of obtaining food. But each individual fishment, as it were, provides less food than a full harvest of potatoes would. Now, Kian apparently just had an argument with Taylor, who is one of our archers. I don't know why they had an argument. Perhaps it's because they don't like each other. But for some reason, that actually does not appear to be the case. It appears that they're merely acquaintances. Taylor's rival is actually Ruinarch, and she hates Nana. I can't imagine why. Nana just seems to be an upstanding citizen. I don't know why you would feel like threatened by her, but I don't know the ways of humans enough to dispute this. Nestor, meanwhile, is spooked and is refusing to sleep, presumably because he got upset, accidentally caused a lightning storm, and then got spooked by his own lightning. Which is a very unfortunate situation overall. Kind of feel bad for him, but, you know, it is how it is. Also an elf over here for some reason. There's a farmer who decided to visit the humans for some reason. Meanwhile, Taylor is continuing to make her patrol of the town, utilizing her basic bow, which, as we know, gives 40 piercing and 5 strength. She is also notably a Thundermaster. She's obsessed with electricity. So she actually probably liked that lightning going on. She's also fast, so she moves more quickly than normal. She's authoritative, which makes her leadership material. And she's nocturnal, which means that she prefers to stay awake at the night and sleep during the day, which makes her well suited to the night patrol as she is currently doing. It's also very nice because this means that we have people that we can observe while everyone else is asleep and we don't have to just skip through the night. Because that was always kind of just like very boring, you know, just sort of fast forwarding while everyone's just snoozing and saying ZZZ repeatedly on their heads as they dream. Which I don't know if anyone's going to talk about that. But I guess not, because it's all in their heads anyway, so I guess no one's actually aware that anyone else is doing it. But whatever. There appears to also be some fish that someone's just sort of left out here, which doesn't seem very sanitary. Then again, just leaving fish on the floor of your house doesn't seem sanitary either, so I guess it doesn't really matter, but you know, dirt's probably worse, right? Like, I wouldn't want to eat fish that's been just in the dirt outside, personally. I keep hearing the sounds of combat, but there's no combat nearby, and it's annoying me. Illidan apparently has insulted Taylor for some reason. Perhaps because he's feeling uncomfortable and wanted to lash out at someone. Or maybe because he knows that she's a music lover and he's a music hater, so they can never get along. Illidan is now on his way to Farah. I don't know why, but it appears that for some reason Rasputin is also making the journey. But, you know, unlike everyone else, Rasputin is a very hardworking, very responsible individual. And so I think, personally, that he does in fact deserve to go on a vacation to another town. Hopefully not the one that has the vampires, though, because, yeah, that would not be a wise choice. There's some sort of elf going around wrecking things in the town for some reason. As we all know, elves are very temperamental, so that's not particularly unusual, but still, tisk tisk tisk, tisk tisk tisk. And now Rasputin, having arrived in the town, is going to go to the tavern, and is going to probably unwind with a couple cold ones. But if there aren't any actual lizards around, I suppose that he'll just have to settle for like beer or ale. Rasputin is having a conversation with Keaton and is now walked up to the counter, but does not appear to be getting any drinks for himself. He's just sort of relaxing, striking up conversations as he feels, and now feels that he is done and is now going to head back to continue his work on the farm. Meanwhile, Greta, for some reason, is really upset. She's having a breakdown right after someone flirted with her. I don't know why her mood's that bad. It appears to mainly be due to a lack of sleep and a lack of enjoyment in her life. And she's actually hungry too, so yeah, I guess it makes sense that she's sort of upset. And she's just lashing out and destroying things in this person's home. I'm guessing is not even the one where she lives. No, this is Keaton's house. And Keaton will now find that his house has been remodeled in the sense that now he just has a table and a bed and some fish. Greta is continuing to stroll around town in her berserk state and is decided to just break some rocks and is now attacking a toolkit, which means that performing repairs is going to be a bit more difficult. She also destroyed some trash though, which is actually very nice, though her attacking the well is less so. Hopefully she doesn't destroy that well, because that's sort of a source of water for the town. Oh well. And now she's going to just destroy that. And now she's going to go get some... She's going to finally get some sleep, which should help drastically improve her mood, on top of the catatonia from releasing her anger. By destroying things, including a well, which is actually rather impressive. To do with, like, 2 knives. Actually, what is she equipped with? Not equipped with anything. That makes it more impressive. Also, we have these elves who are going to report crimes at each other. I don't really care about that right now. And of course, Rasputin continues harvesting the crops, continues being the backbone of the village and the faction. Everyone, I would like to take another moment of silence, just so that everyone can appreciate Rasputin's hard work and give this responsible individual the praise that he so richly deserves. Everyone, on the count of 3, you know the cheer. Rah! Wait, no, sorry, I forgot the countdown. My bad. My bad. We'll start again. Hold on. On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Rah! Rah! Rasputin! There we go. Very nicely done, everyone. Very nicely done. I'm assuming that you all did a very good job. I can't actually hear you, but I'm going to assume that you all actually joined in and weren't just idly listening by like a bunch of sacks of potatoes. Because unlike the people who eat potatoes, potatoes don't have much intelligence. And Rasputin is just in his house. He is now, as we can see, he is playing the guitar, enjoying himself, and has now gone to sleep for the night. Let's see. Don't see anyone in particular around town that's staying up. Makes me wonder where Taylor is. Ah, Taylor's out here. We're gonna mark her so that we have access to her comings and goings. She's currently drinking out of the well in this town. Now, unlike the other town of Farah, this town is not... it's probably not the place she wants to hang out in. Because, if memory serves me correctly, this is actually the town that the vampires live in. And thus, that makes this a somewhat dangerous place to decide to live in. Deciding to come here for like a vacation or something would be it wouldn't be my choice, for sure. At least not if I were a human. As a god, it wouldn't actually matter. Because any vampire who attempts to feed off of me without my permission would find a very rude awakening. Which would not actually last very long because they would likely end up 6 feet underground shortly afterwards, but you know. Meanwhile, Ash is also returning to the town to sleep, while Taylor is presumably not going to do that. She's also apparently changed jobs and is now a skinner, which is more in line with her talents, though she's technically more suited to being a farmer or a fisher. But at least she picked something that she has more than 1 level in. So she is now a skinner, and she produces cloth and leather, which is necessary, of course, for making things such as clothes. As day is dawned, it's also entirely possible that she'll soon be going to sleep. And it appears that Taylor actually listened to my advice and is decided to become a fisher instead, and is now fishing outside. She has deposited some fish. 16 fish, exactly. I was expecting to see Rasputin here. Rasputin is not here. Rasputin is just sort of roaming around the town square, where they have apparently replaced the water well, which is a very impressive feat of engineering to have done that so quickly. But now his rest is over, and he's going to go harvest the crops again. If only there was someone who could visit and potentially, or rather, if someone new could move in and also be a farmer, so that Rasputin is not just working alone after Alvina left. Because, as we all know, Alvina is just an awful person who doesn't like being part of the team. She just went off and decided to work for the vampires, despite being a human. Which, between you and me, seems like a very odd course of action to have taken. Still hear combat, but I don't know where it's coming from. Anyway, now Greta is going to buy some stone. I'm not sure what she's going to use the stone for. Ah, she's going to craft a bed out of stone. That makes perfect sense. Absolutely. Ah, I see. The wood. Okay, so what was happening is that combat was the sounds of this group, the wood, fighting the bears and wiping them out. So unfortunately, Leoric was killed in the process. But of course, as we all know, Leoric didn't have some people that didn't like him a lot. So a lot of people are not going to miss him. But his friend Illidan, his daughter Willow, and his friend Mildred definitely will, along with his wife Shelby, who is now alone. She's in a bad mood, though notably her husband being dead doesn't seem to have lessened her mood more than starving does. So pains of the heart are apparently less painful than pains of the stomach. Alistair here, who is one of the miners, is sleeping on the ground because he currently doesn't have a boat to live in. Hopefully, eventually at some point, the town expands a little more so that everyone in the town can have lodging, because as we know, shelter is a very important component to any species survival. Because if you don't live in a house, who knows what will happen when a vampire sneaks into the town and sneaks up with you in your sleep and tries to drink your blood. And the next thing you know, you suddenly have these weird cravings for blood yourself, and you have no idea where they came from because you were asleep when the vampire came. Because you didn't have an actual bed to sleep in, so there was no one else to notice. And then you start thinking, hey, my friend Jeff really just smells delicious, and I have no idea why. And then one day you find out why when you spontaneously decide to attack him in his sleep, and you drink his blood. But because you're an inexperienced vampire, you end up being discovered, and then Jeff reports you to the constable brings you in, and then you get burned at the stake for being a vampire, without having ever known that you were actually a vampire until that point. Anyway, Barrick is going back to his home now, after presumably doing some, what was it? Oh! Actually, more importantly, Greta has apparently praised Rasputin. So, Greta is one of the few who can recognize when someone is doing hard work. We also have Madison here, who is just eating directly from the ground like an animal, because she's homeless. Now all the potatoes are gone. Also noticeably a logger. Also, someone poisoned this table. So, hopefully Peyton doesn't try to eat from that. Anytime soon, at least. LC me. Still hear the sounds of combat. What's going on? Oh, right, I forgot about these things. These are moonwalkers. What the heck are moonwalkers? They look like some sort of monkey. Traits, coward, scaredy cat. Interesting. I'll be honest, I kind of want one. The heck happened over here? There's just poison everywhere. And there's a poison cloud wandering around into these ancient ruins that have no residents at this point. Huh. Interesting. I don't know what caused that. Anyway, we're going to go back to Taylor, who is currently fishing in the middle of the night. She's doing some night fishing. Perhaps finding some fish that can't be normally gone at during the day. You know, I think like eel, I think you can find is one of the fish that you can find during the night. I think trying to remember octopus. No, octopus was like early morning, right? Yeah, I think octopus is early morning, and then eel is night, and then ghost fish you have to go into like the into like I think like floor 20, and then floor 40. Both of those have fishing, and you can get ghost fish there. If I'm remembering correctly. Yeah, I think that's right. Anyway, Taylor is continuing to fish. Alistair apparently went and ate some of the fish right off the ground. Presumably homeless as well. They really should do something about the housing situation, especially since they have 137 stones still. Also, there's a poison flask and a healing potion just lying around in here. Still hear the sounds of combat. Really bugging me. Where's the combat? Where is this happening? Also, Alarthian died, but Alarthian's an elf, so we don't care. Up here we can see that everyone's just sort of wandering around and talking to each other. All the adventurers really sort of require quests to actually do anything that contribute to the welfare of the town. Now, if there was some sort of like evil demonic being, some sort of like arc being that causes ruin in its wake, that was causing dire situations that required adventurers to address, they may be able to find more work. But as it stands, there's not much to do. There was some night patrols that just ended, but if there was like actual like monsters being forcibly spawned by someone in the town, or like kidnapping people or some such, then there would be it would be more likely that they would have more of a need for adventurers. Meanwhile, we have Shelby, who is a druid. She is a wind master and fire resistant, and she has 601 coins, along with a basic staff and a healing potion. She's also grief-stricken, because she is the one who lost theiir. So her mood's actually really bad because she hasn't enjoyed herself in a while. She's tired, she lives in an unpleasant environment too, but she is brimming with stamina, and she's not hungry, so she's got that going for her. She's currently going out to the wilderness. She's apparently joined a different human empire that consists of Nana and Shelby, and is recently formed, I assume. Meanwhile, Gerard the miner is just idly sitting by, currently not needed to go and acquire stone, I guess. So he's just relaxing. Keaton over here is enjoying some lovely, probably fish. Yeah, he's fish fed. He's very fish fed. Anyway. Then we have Nestor, who is the new faction leader and settlement ruler. I don't know what happened to Ulmer. Apparently he died at some point. Let's see. Ulmer was also killed by a bear, I see. Alright. Wow, there's a lot of human empires, aren't there? We got Patsy, who made her own human empire. We got the Serenian, which just has 3 people here. Including Taylor, interesting. We have Patanide. And then, of course, we have the original town of Saren. We're gonna go actually take a look over here. Actually, no, let's go to Pansy, because she's actually building a new village. So in moments, there will be a well and a city center, around which Patsy will attempt to increase the spread of civilization. She has a little bit of animal meat to sustain her. But as to how long this will last is difficult to say. She has currently laid down a spot for a fishery in the future. But otherwise, it appears to mostly be sort of roaming around. She's now sleeping. Doesn't feel like it was the highest priority for her. But at least she's trying to do something with her life instead of just standing around, enjoying the fruits of responsible, hardworking people like Rasputin and not actually participating herself. So for that, we will give her, at least some sort of commendation. Meanwhile, Taylor, who has since joined the Serenian faction, is going out into the wilderness. Alistair just had his blood drank in the middle of the town square, which now the culprit is currently leaving. But yeah, Taylor is going out into the wilderness. It remains to be seen whether her faction will actually form their own village. All I know is that her being a fisher, hopefully she finds a place nearby a body of water so that she can continue her work. Also, these poison clouds continue to pop up, presumably because no one's actually cleaning up the poison, which causes poison clouds to occasionally spawn from them. Occasionally being a matter of perception, because the more poison there is, the more often it happens. And when the poison clouds come into contact with each other, this also causes them to form even larger poison clouds, as you can see. And if they manage to reach the edges of where the poison currently is, then they will spread the poison further, and over time, this may cause a large swath of the map to become unusable. Oh, you can see that they're actually poison vents. So I'm not sure if these were the initial cause of the poison, or if the poison lingering for so long caused them to form. But these are actually the sources of the poison clouds that are spreading poison in this area. Now, Taylor is continuing to roam. She hasn't enjoyed herself in a long time, and she needs to sleep. And eventually, she may run into the issue of requiring food. If there is no town for her faction, it'll be very difficult for her to acquire those means. On top of that, the bear den has spawned more bears. So eventually, the town will need to send out more people to deal with those bears, which will likely result in more deaths, but the needs of the many, of course, outweigh the needs of the few, at least when you're humans that live in a communal village. But of course, as long as Rasputin stays in town, they will continue to live on. As Rasputin continues his work in the fields to provide everyone the delicious, delicious potatoes that everyone craves and needs to survive. Alright, where's that combat coming from? I really can't tell. I'm getting annoyed. Well, there's dead wolves here. Is Nana responsible for that? Her health went down, so that seems likely. Also, Susan here appears to have started a new town for the vampires. Is she a vampire? She's not. She's actually a normal human. That makes that very interesting, and she's set up a workshop in this town, intriguingly. So hopefully this goes well for her, but as she's a farmer, there is actually some use there. It's also apparently now going towards the abandoned mine where Violet died, and now has a tombstone. Also a goddess statue here, which seems odd because I'm pretty sure I'm a god right now, not a goddess. I don't know why that would be there. And Taylor just continues to roam around in the wilderness idly, with no idea of what she's supposed to do because her faction is completely uncoordinated, which is often an issue with emergent factions, and may in time result in the faction's utter annihilation due to a mix of starvation, berserkerness, causing them to commit crimes that they get punished for, and of course the real killer accidentally getting mauled by wild beasts. Of course, after many people have left this town, you'll notice that a lot of the people here are now very happy with each other. There's a deeper sense of community when people who don't fit with the town's ideals end up moving on, and it results with the people who remain all being of similar mind, which is, of course, the preferred state of being for Homo sapiens. For Homo sapiens, being the same brain as they are, they much prefer interacting with others who share their thoughts, interests, and ideals. And Nestor died of starvation for some reason, which seems like an odd thing to have died of because you were in town. This also leaves one to wonder who will end up taking over as the leader. It appears that the most likely candidate is going to be Illidan. Also, we can see here that the apparent reason that the other factions were formed is because someone, probably Nestor when he took over, decided to make the faction exclusively male. And I'm going to be honest with you, my knowledge of human biology seems to indicate that a sausage fest, as it were, is not conducive to long-term survival of the species. This is made especially abundant by the fact that, because of the way this happened, all of the emergent factions that resulted from this are all female, because only the females left the town because they were the only ones who were required to leave. We now have a situation where the long-term growth of these towns has been significantly hampered. by the fact that they will no longer be able to procreate and thus increase their population naturally over time. They are now completely dependent upon migration. But of course, unlike the merchant factions, this male-only faction will not be able to obtain female migrants now, which means that they will continue to potentially suffer long-term growth, or rather lessened long-term growth, due to the unwise decisions of their now deceased leader who died of starvation in the middle of town, which really also sort of lends to the overall intelligence of the previous leader. Hopefully, though, a new leader will be picked, and preferably one that will reconsider the stance on being exclusive to males, so that they can fix their predecessor's mistakes. And indeed, they are now inclusive and are open to everyone. On top of this, because Illidan likes the leaders of the Serenian and Borowosk factions, they are now friendly with those factions as well, which will improve camaraderie and will, in the future, potentially help with the growth of trade and commerce. And so, with this changing of the guard, we are going to end this segment for today. But as we close out, we are going to observe the hard-working, responsible Rasputin, who has been here since the beginning and has seen many leaders come and go, many great changes, but he continues his hard work on the potato farm. So once more, I would like to give Rasputin a hearty cheer. Rah! Rah! Rasputin! And I thank you all for coming to watch. And I hope I will see you all next time. My name is the Documentarian, and I will see you all in the potato fields.